our podcast, guys.
Are we starting right now?
Yeah.
Let's start again.
Okay. Hey there, folks.
Hey, friends. I'm so ready to podcast. Clayton, are you ready to podcast?
No.
Do you need a minute?
I got the giggles.
All right, well.
Okay, I'm there. All right, we're listening to the theme song.
Well, this is all going in, so we've already heard it. So just, come on, we got dead air. You're the host.
Okay.
You're clean. I'm Michael, and this is Flahertys on Films, where we discuss the AFI Top 100 movie list. This week, we're discussing... Which one is it? The Wild Bunch, starring Bob Hoskins, who was in Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
He's not.
And Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, Hoskins.
It's a spaghetti western. What's the IMDb synopsis?
That's all wrong. That's all wrong.
Okay, well, so do you have it up?
It's definitely not. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, here's the synopsis.
Starring Bugs Bunny, the Wild Bunch, 1969, an aging group of outlaws look for one last big score as the traditional American West is disappearing around them.
Now, you folks at home didn't see this, but Michael, he had
air quotes around traditional, which I don't know why. I don't know what that's meaning.
He should have said quote unquote, but he thought he made the bold move.
I forgot this is an
gesture.
auditory medium.
All right. This is this movie. Now, we're going to do something a little different this week.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to move up our bro call for a little historical background on the Wild Wild West.
Bro call time.
Not to be confused with the historically accurate film Wild Wild West.
Call Brother John.
Have you seen Wild Wild West?
No. Wiki Wild.
Yeah.
That's all I know about it.
That's all you need to know.
I feel like
Also, Mechanical Spider Kevin Kline is in it.
Oh, I should check it out.
It's actually pretty cool. Pretty cool film.
Here we go, John.
Oh,
Get ready.
I have a list of questions for John.
Hey, John, this is your brother Michael, and I'm joined with my sister Colleen, and we are talking about the movie The Wild Bunch.
Have you?
The Wild Bunch.
Now, that's okay that you haven't seen this, because this is a special bro call. You're at the beginning of the podcast this time, because I want a little historical background on the Old West.
1913-ish.
Is when this movie takes place.
Oh, so like right before World War I.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So here's
Okay,
here's what I think I know, and I might be wrong. So like the Wild West of like movies and dime novels and whatever, that's a relatively short period of time, right?
Oh,
And that's
yeah, very
why,
short.
And that's why a big part of the genre is like the West disappearing as they know it.
Yes.
Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, the majority of what we consider to be, like, the American Wild West really was only about a 2-decade period. I mean, because you had, so...
When did it start? What started this?
The Gold Rush.
Oh, yeah, I'm building into it. Give me a second here.
Sorry.
So,
Jumping the gun.
Yeah. So you had, I mean, two major events which opened up what we consider to be, like, the start of the West. I mean, not really the start of the Wild West, but the Gold Rush in 1849 and the Mexican-American War, which is essentially when we settled both California and Texas and incorporated them into what we consider America.
Okay.
Then there's the period of Western settlements, the Oregon Trail, and then it's the period when we're actually starting to expand, like, the railroad system and actually trying to integrate the country, which is when we both get the real start of the American West. Like, you know, people, like, actual money is being made out there, but there's still no real government or actual territorial control.
Ah.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. But, I mean, by the act of actually making the West important, you also immediately begin the decline of what you consider the Wild West, because by making it important, you're inevitably already asserting control over it. So the period that people get really wistful about really is a very short period between, like, the end of the settler period, which is like 1870-ish, and the real beginning of federal control in the West, the railroad actually being completed and actually starting to get some breadth and depth, cities actually becoming real things over there.
Okay.
So it's really between 1870 and 1890 that's like the high period.
Okay.
Especially when, because before there's major development, before there's major railroads, I mean, the cattle trade is such a big thing, where cattle would be driven from Texas up into Kansas and then shipped out east. I mean, even that begins to get a little bit mucked up by 1890, 1900.
I'm actually really surprised how much information you have.
Is it messed up that people romanticize this era so much?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, you got to remember, at the same time that this was happening, I mean, just by coincidence of timing, is also when mass media is beginning to really take off.
Right, because like pulp novels is the reason it's such a big thing, right?
Exactly. And, I mean, you got to remember, mass communication in terms of the telegraph was really being introduced then. Major syndicated newspapers. So mass media in basically every respect. Black and white movies start to even get into this a little bit. All of that's taking place right at the end of the Wild West period.
Okay. So I have one more question, and that is, so a lot of this movie takes place in Mexico, where there's this general guy who works for the Mexican army, I guess, but he seems to be fighting against Pancho Villa. What's that about?
Okay. I don't exactly know the specifics, but the long story short, and I'm not an expert on Mexican history, but I probably know more than the average person. After, I think, 1870? Maybe it was a little bit earlier, when the French tried to take over Mexico. Long story short, there was a revolution that's considered Mexican Independence Day, but Mexico never really actually centralized and became a standard, like what we consider a state, and a nation state, until much later. It was a constant, you'd almost consider it a failed state. I don't want to say it's a failed state, but in that sort of sense where, like, there's a number of people controlling pockets of the country. The central government doesn't really have control of the country. And I know, definitely in modern media, I'm not so sure how true it is, but that people in the Wild West would then, like, once they were beaten out by the Americans and the Yankees, they went south to Mexico to continue being who they were, lawless banditos, because you can still do that down in Mexico.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
That answered my question. Thank you very much.
John, you're so smart.
You're like the smartest guy we know. We're so glad you're a brother.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was really nice.
John, we love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this is getting weird.
All right, goodbye. And that was a bro call. So that was good. That was a lot of facts, information.
Was so much information.
But you know what? I'm feeling my stomach. I'm still a little hungry for facts.
Oh God! If only we had more facts.
Yeah. Tick, 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 tick. Looking at my wristwatch. You don't see the visual, but I'm holding my arm up to my face. It is bam.
Time for Sam.
Here we go with Sam.
So, this film is considered to be the changing of the view of the Westerns. To quote Welling Green, who was one of the co-authors of the script, he said, "I always like Westerns, but I also always felt they were too heroic and too glamorous. I'd read enough to know that Billy the Kid shot people in the back of the heads while they were drinking coffee." So they really wanted to focus on the fact that these weren't heroic men. They were unheroic. And they were horrific.
So is he talking about like John Wayne type films?
Funny enough, John Wayne did say that this film destroyed the Old West myth.
Whoa.
Oh, I think I have a fact, and I have not verified this.
Interesting.
And that is, on this list, there are a few Westerns, but not very many, and none of them are like the iconic Westerns that you think of, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Once Upon a Time in the West. And I think it's just because this is the American Film Institute, and those are Italian films. But go on. I just wanted everybody to know that I might know that, but I have not verified that.
Okay. Maybe next time we first Sam would be done.
Okay.
It's sort of, that's kind of out of line.
No.
That was really out of line. I trampled all over her.
It's really rude. It's not time for clean.
Oh.
But back to this.
So the point is that this film really just brought in the whole dirty, kind of almost pathetic and horrific parts, using women as human shields kind of thing. Just
That is in the movie.
Yeah, it was really gross, unpleasant, and uncomfortable to watch.
I also didn't like Westerns after this movie.
John Wayne and you have that in common.
Yeah.
So a couple of fun things about this film. This was the first film to have different sounds for different guns. Before this, all Westerns would use the exact same sound for the different types of guns. Yeah, just like pew, pew, pew. And then all of a
bolts
sudden...
ricochet now.
I love
That's my favorite sound. Reminds me of GoldenEye on the N64.
So this is the first one that did different sounds for the different guns.
It still sounded silly and cartoonish. Go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they were
With their-
different sounding
With the bright
cartoonish.
red blood. Yeah.
Ernest, I can't pronounce his last name, Borgnese, I think, who played
Borgnine.
Dutch. Yeah, he played Dutch Einstrom. He has a limp in this film. It's actually a real limp. He was injured while filming a different film he was in called The Split, so he actually had a cast on. So when you see him with a limp, it is a real injury. There was only 350 Mexican uniforms for this entire film. That being said, there was about 6,000 different characters that were Mexican soldiers throughout the film.
Didn't seem like that many.
So they actually had to, like, a soldier would get shot, and they had to quickly wash the uniform to get rid of the blood stains, re-sew it up, and paint over it, and then put it on a different and or the same actor and put him back out there to be another character because they kept shooting and destroying so many of them.
How many of those actors were actually Hispanic?
Actually, most of them were Mexican extras.
Oh.
Well, the extras, not like the main characters, but yeah. Most of them were
There was
Mexican.
some pretty interesting brown face.
This film was nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Original Screenplay and Best Original Music Score. It did not win either or.
No shit.
Both of those were won by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is number 73 on your list, so coming up very shortly.
Oh, cool.
I am excited about that one. I don't know if I've seen it, but I know it's the same guy who did The Princess Bride, so screenplay-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And my last fact for you guys today. So there's a very famous scene where a bridge is blown up.
I like that scene.
It was a cool scene. I actually watched that one. The scene took 5 stuntmen. They were each paid $2,000 to do the stunt. 6 cameramen. It did go off without a hitch in one take. They only lost 1 camera that fell in the river, and they never got it back. That being said, apparently the director was just this really harsh man. There's a lot of stories about just how he was awful to people on set and whatnot. So he had fired a lot of people. And so Bud Halberd, who is now the special effects technician in charge, didn't know a lot about explosives. However, stuntman Joe Canute, who is a famous stuntman, did and was warning them, hey, guys, this is going to be really explosive and dangerous. You need to make sure this, and this happens. But the guy didn't listen and was just like, I got this. So Joe went to the costume and wardrobe department head, Gordon Dawson, and said, very important, if the men fall into the river before the last explosion, before he detonates it, hit him over the head with a club and knock him out, or these men will die.
Whoa.
So they had this whole backup plan that this wardrobe man was standing behind him with a club, and he didn't know, ready to knock him over the head if they fell in the water early.
Jesus.
That doesn't sound medically correct. But
Thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't cartoon world. We live in real world.
That little
You've heard the guns, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's that.
So that being said, everything did end up going well. No one was clubbed over the head, and the scene went off without a hitch, and it's a pretty cool scene. The rest of the movie seemed not great, but the
No.
scene was pretty cool, so.
No.
Okay.
All right,
Great.
and that was, bam,
Time for Sam.
our favorite segment.
All right. I mean, so we loved this movie.
It's
so
my favorite
much.
movie. Swan song to the Western film.
So let's see. Their next segment is Amazon 1-star reviews.
Does this podcast have too many good segments? Do we need to come on? Because they're all really good.
They're all so good.
Well, let's see. Let's
They're
go with...
perfect segments.
They're perfect.
So I will say about this one, I focused on there was a guy who would reply to every single one.
Yes, I love this.
So yeah.
Just like, what is it? Margot?
Morgo, I think. Yes.
From our Pulp Fiction episodes. Longtime fans will remember that one.
All right. Go for it, man.
Don't buy it. This movie is not for kids. I had looked forward to watching it with my 11 and 14-year-old. It was embarrassing.
Wow. Here's the reply. You poor thing. Hope you could finally leave the house after that embarrassing film. Those little snot-nosed kids are going to see a lot more than that in their lifetime, unless they live in a closet. I bet you they have seen worse on TV alone.
Oh.
So
Wow. Well, this is a very long one.
yeah, this is the long one.
All right,
Sorry.
I'll go ahead with it. What I do enjoy is the story of Peckinpah
Peckinpah.
intending it to be some sort of anti-war film because every night the news would show Vietnam, 2 words, on the tube, and Sam was horrified. Who are we talking about?
Sam Peckinpah, I think, is the writer. Or
Oh, got it.
Director and writer.
I'm already so lost in this review. And Sam was horrified that when the film was shown, instead of people being disgusted, as was people were rooting for it and the violence. Was that?
yeah, that's a sentence.
The Vietnam War apparently upset another Hollywood liberal. Well, here we go. The movie, the movie maker, and the message are all overrated, just like the era. Okay. Sadly, this, for some reason, has been a movie that is deemed one of the greatest out there, despite being just another feeble attempt by a whiny generation and a whiny era. Whoa. Did not enjoy this movie. In fact, turned it off right before it finished.
And the reply is, go back to watching Cartoon Network then.
Cartoon Network's all right.
Yeah, all right.
All right, here's the shorter. A dreary, focusless shuffle to a needlessly bloody ending.
And then the reply is, another crybaby. Wow. Oh my goodness, a bloody ending. It sounds like you are too long and too slow.
Great response. You're too long. You're too slow. You're needless.
Yeah. So let's talk. Those were all really great.
So you loved it. What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was how I actually hated it.
Oh.
That was a twist.
We're doing a bit, folks,
Oh,
because we
boy.
don't like it.
We don't. My initial reaction is I was surprised at how grossed out and bored I was.
I thought it got better as it went along.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You're going to have to defend that.
Sure, because I didn't care at all at the beginning. Because, I don't know, is there some kind of, I was thinking about this. Is there some kind of storytelling rule for how to make your anti-hero, you're supposed to care about
Root
his
for
success?
them?
Yeah, so
That's a great
our protagonist is an outlaw, a thief, baddie, but I don't, the whole time I'm like, well, I hope you get caught. The stakes are so low because if you die, I'm happy.
Right. Correct.
So, is there some, but I still cheer on Walter White, and I still cheer on other anti-heroes.
Aladdin.
So I think if this character
He's
had
a
a
thief.
beautiful singing
Why
voice
couldn't
and
he-
was a diamond in the rough,
He could have gotten a job.
He
Gotta steal to eat, gotta eat to live.
pull himself
but
up by his bootstrap, his long pants. Yeah,
He did not have shoes.
no, very poor.
Anyway, this movie would have been pretty good if it had a genie in it, though.
What were we talking about?
I'm not sure. Aladdin's great.
Aladdin is a good movie. Riff raff. So shut up, Alexa. We record in a fancy studio, and there's an Alexa here. So stop. We shouldn't say her name. Wow, telling her to be quiet. Anyway, so let's hold on. So I didn't like the film a lot. Oh wait, here's what I was talking about. So yeah, I didn't care at all at the beginning, and I liked it more and more as it went on because in the middle of the movie it kind of went to these action set pieces, which is you don't need any story. Oh, there's people shooting at, there's bridges exploding. That's just exciting. And then by the end, it wasn't amazing, but I did care about Angel a bit.
Okay. See,
So
now,
that's why there is a positive arc.
that's so interesting because I feel the opposite. Whoa. Because I hated it more as you went on because it was, folks, this is a long film.
Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
And they spend a lot of time with our band of outlaws, yet they don't spend any time on character development.
No.
So I got more frustrated with that as the film went on, and we'll talk more about the Angel story because I have some feelings on that one.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like it was satisfying. I felt like because we do this damn podcast, I had to sit through it, and I would not have otherwise.
This damn podcast that we do. God.
know.
Ugh. Such a burden.
So, yeah.
Anyway, let's walk through
yeah.
the plot.
So, there's this gang, the Wild Bunch, if you will.
If you will, yeah.
Led by Pike, who is, I guess, a famous actor
Pike
of the era.
Bishop.
Oh, good memory.
Thank you.
So he leads this gang of old bad guys, but they're not really all bad guys. Are we rooting for them? Whatever.
Right, they're sort of positioned to be thieves with a heart of gold. But
Right. I love the only way they illustrate this in the first scene is for 2 seconds he like helps an old lady. And
So
we're
you
like,
know he's
oh,
good. He's good. I didn't realize.
Okay. So I think what's supposed to be really cool and revolutionary about this movie, like why it's on the list, is its camera tricks.
Slow motion.
The slow motion and the action sequences with the falling up. They love bodies falling off buildings in this film. It's all the time.
That did make this movie feel exceptionally dated to me.
Yes. It
Yeah.
looked so silly.
Yeah.
And the Kool-Aid blood was pretty...
Oh, that was great.
So anyway, they're this gang and they're in this town. They're robbing the railroad store, I guess. And then this other group of bounty hunters, I guess,
Yep.
come in, and it is really bloody.
Yes.
They get right into it.
Deputized bounty hunters.
Cool. Wow, man, your memory is
and
sharp today.
I just saw the movie like an hour ago.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So like women and children are dying. Oh, also right before this happens, there's this weird ass scene with a bunch of children torturing ants and a scorpion.
Fire ants.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a metaphor, but I thought it was weird.
Right, because they focus on that shot for a long time. While the ants are burning.
And I think
so we're
this
like,
is
"Ooh,
kind of a
we're
whole
all
thing
burning."
about how everybody's terrible. I think that's kind of one of the main points of the movie.
I can buy into that.
Anyway, so there's this long shootout and a bunch of people die. Mm-hmm. A lot of old ladies, some kids. Mm-hmm. It's weird, really horrific actually. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the Wild Bunch dies too.
Yeah, I think this is the first part of the hero's journey, where the hero goes to rob a bank and then kills a bunch of people.
Yeah, and this is a note I made early on, and I felt still keenly.
Yeah.
That I wish there was some white hat, black hat costuming, because
What's that mean?
So in old westerns, the bad guys would wear all black, and the good guys would wear like a white hat.
Yeah.
And then you could just tell them apart. And
Yes.
I had trouble, sometimes I had trouble following, especially in wide shots.
I had trouble understanding the plot. I actually did have to rewatch this opening scene because I didn't get what was going on at all.
Maybe that's why you remember the deputized bounty hunters.
That is exactly why I remember that. Because, they go into the railroad, but it's marked, the building it doesn't say railroad on the building.
No.
And they just rob it by just, walking, and they just open a safe, and I just didn't get it. It took me a while.
And then they'll cut to individual shooters, and I'm not clear which side they're on.
Yeah, yeah.
That one guy who just, made those people sing the temperance movement songs, and then he just shot them.
And then, obviously he's on the good guy team.
Right.
Obviously.
Obviously. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next scene, the robbers, they do get away with it, even though most of their team are dead. Mm. And they're like, oh no, we were set up. Twist.
Because the money that they stole was bags full of washers and not silver.
Oh shit. And then this old guy shows up, and I guess he's important, but I never really followed why.
Sykes.
Man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad you're here today.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And then we also find out that the head of the deputized bounty hunters is a guy who used to be best friends.
Pete Thornton.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just full of information. I'm like a John right now.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So
That's our brother.
Yeah. So Peak
History major. Go on.
Peak
Thornton.
used to be the partner of Pike.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pike Bishop.
Pike and Peak.
Peek and Pike. Why wasn't that the movie title?
I didn't put the similar soundingness together, but they do look alike, which is confusing.
But they're having some problems. Peek and Pike problems.
Right. So Peak remembers being in jail, and then he has this really gratuitous flashback of getting whipped a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm never going back to jail, and that's why he's going after these guys, even though he doesn't really want to. Mm-hmm. This is just his get out of jail free card, I guess.
But Harrington, one of our antagonists, says you got to go get Pike, or you're going to go back to prison.
Right. That's important.
That's the plot of the movie.
And I'm still unclear if they're working for the government or the railroad.
Who?
Because they're deputized, so that would say government, but then they always talk about working for the railroad.
I don't really know what it means.
I don't know if I care.
Yeah.
So then our Wild Bunch,
Yeah.
the bunch, they go back to Mexico.
Yeah.
our researcher did not like the way I pronounced that, but I am treating this much more sensitively than this film. So now we're in Angel's hometown. Oh, Angel is one of the Wild Bunch guys, and he's Mexican, but probably not.
Somewhere along their path from walking to the town to Mexico, they establish that loyalty is important.
Yeah.
There's one of those scenes. A
But-
guy falls off. It's like, we can't kill each other. We gotta stick together. Boom, boom, boom.
Except then later in the film, it's like, isn't it important? Because
Right.
everybody betrays each other all the time.
Right, and they're all horrible. And I don't like any of them.
No. So we go to Angel's hometown, and Angel's like this young Mexican guy, and if we could just...
Did we do our hottie count body count segment yet? Because
I-
one. He's hot.
Yeah, he's a...
And then a million. Like, a lot of people die.
Right,
Go
a lot
on.
of people.
It's a callback.
So his hometown has been taken over by the General. Mm-hmm. By the way, did your movie, your version, did it have subtitles when they spoke Spanish?
No, it had subtitles for English and not Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine, yeah, I was like, I kind of can speak Spanish, so I followed it a little bit, but that was...
I do forget
was wondering if I was
I do
supposed
forget the
to.
general's name.
But they usually call him Le General. Not
Machai.
something like that.
Something like
Machacha.
that. Machacha. Mambo.
So, pause. How do you feel this film treated Mexicans? I think not great, but not as terrible as other 60s films probably treated minorities.
No thoughts. I'm trying to think of any scene where that would go into play.
I mean, I feel like they were kind of dumb and, you know,
I mean, so are the Americans.
I guess
Everyone's
so.
dumb. Everyone's unlikable. Everyone's horrible.
that's a good point. So then they go to the hometown, and Angel's kind of put out because he's like, oh, this General has taken over the town.
General Mambo.
And then there's this scene. I really want to talk about this.
Okay, let's talk
Because
about
you're like, oh, is an angel so dreamy?
He's, yeah.
He sees his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he sees his ex-girlfriend.
Teresa.
Yeah. She goes and sits on the General's lap. And then he gets mad and kills her.
Yeah.
Murders her.
But like in a sexy... like the way Han kills Greedo. It's like, whoa. Bad boy.
Right. Okay, but Greedo wasn't just like an ex-lover that he was jealous of.
We don't know.
Greedo was about to kill him.
Well, there could be two stories going on.
I guess we don't.
George Lucas is all about two things going on at once.
Sometimes 3.
Sometimes 4. Watch the Phantom Menace closely enough. Yeah. Were Greedo and Han making out? Were they lovers? I don't know. But we should think about that more.
We should.
Okay.
Well,
let's-
maybe a later podcast.
Later, yeah. Next episode.
Okay. So the General is like mad because like you just killed this girl who was on my lap, which is understandable.
He says, bro!
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
That's the
The way
line.
women are treated in this film is not great.
A lot of murder.
A lot of murder of like innocent, very young girls.
Just like there's a woman on the screen, shoots her. The end of the movie, he like, oh, I won't kill her because she's a woman. And then she like shoots him, so he goes, bitch. And then he turns around and kills her.
Oh yeah, that.
So like, there's a lot of great, it's varied examples.
Right. So the general's mad. So then Pike comes up and he's like, all right. I can't exactly remember how this came together.
You know what? His name's not Peak, it's Deke. So it's not Pike and Peak.
Oh, well.
It's Pike and Deke.
It's Peak forever now. To
Yeah,
me.
that's right.
So the Wild Bunch then somehow to get Angel out of trouble, I guess, they agree to go steal a bunch of weapons for the general from the U.S. Army.
No, they're just doing it to get money.
Oh, but I thought also it calmed him down because he was really mad about getting that girl shot up his lap.
Mostly for the money. I mean, it was established.
He is going to get a bunch of gold as well.
So earlier there was the scene where Pike is like, I just need one last job and then I'm done.
Oh, right, because the stealing the railroad thing, that was supposed to be the one last job.
Right. So he
Okay.
just wants a lot of money. And so he's going to steal guns from a train for this general for lots of money.
Also, there's this weird German guy there.
Yeah.
Totally. I guess World War I's about to happen. So cool. And he's like, oh, I want to see what the Americans.
Nice accent.
Thank you. That was really good. So, yeah. And the Angel wants a few of those weapons so that he and his hometown banditos.
Yeah, he agrees to give up his share of the gold if they can just steal one of the crates
Right.
of weapons.
Which, again, I feel like we're supposed to kind of empathize with Angel because he loves his hometown and he hates what's happened to it and he's going to fight. He doesn't care about gold. He cares about pride.
I did
And I'm
care
like,
about him the most of any
yeah,
character.
except that he fucking straight up murdered a girl because he was jelly.
Well, I mean...
She didn't do anything wrong. He left her And then he was just mad that she found someone else.
Well, it's Wild West times. That's how you resolve issues.
You just murder women.
If you're a woman in Wild West times, you gotta just know. You're getting murdered, and you're like, well, yeah.
You're getting prostituted and you're getting murdered.
Yeah,
there's also a lot of prostitutes.
It's Wild West.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Wiki.
It's Wiki Wild Wild.
Okay, so then there's the big train robbing scene, which I actually thought was the best scene in the film.
That was, yeah, I mean, I actually might agree with you.
Even though sometimes I had trouble following it. But best scene in the film is a low bar.
Wow, absolutely.
The steam train looked pretty cool. The bridge scene that our researcher and you were discussing, I thought that was a little weird because it looked like the bridge was a platform that gave out rather than the explosions made the bridge collapse. Because it looked like the bridge became a slanted angle and then everyone just slid into the water.
Yeah, that is weird. I just thought it was interesting because there was a lot of danger. I mean, they were holding carts full of grenades that got stuck. So they were going to blow up a bridge, and the grenades were stuck on the bridge.
That was pretty cool.
And they're getting shot at by the army, and then people shooting at them or shooting at each other. There was just a lot of excitement going on. I just didn't feel any emotions prior to that.
Right. I also kept getting confused who was who.
Right, yeah.
So, and there was a machine gun, I guess.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
a surprise.
Yeah.
So next,
have we talked about how all these shots were way too long? Remember? So when they okay, we got all the guns off the train, so let's send the train backwards. We didn't need to see that, but we did see 10 minutes of the train going backwards.
I think they built this really cool train for the movie.
Right, they gotta capitalize on that. Sure.
You know, when we saw the film Titanic.
Right.
And James is I built this, except that was amazing.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. All right. So the gang gets the weapons. They are successful, but they're we're pretty sure this general is going to double cross us. We're pretty sure they're not going to pay us the golds.
I love how fast we're going through the movie because this is an hour and a half in.
This is more than it's so long.
Yeah,
it's so tedious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't really get it. Their big plan. But the general's good for you. You figured out that I'm totally going to double cross you. Okay, we won't.
Did he openly say that?
I thought he did.
Well,
he was smart gringos.
We can assume.
In a very offensive accent.
But I'm sure that's how he spoke.
Michael, he was not a Mexican man.
I don't know. Why did I speak? I don't know.
But then the general finds out that Angel has some weapons, and the general's mad, and then drags him behind a car.
Oh yeah,
that was gross.
Yeah, that was nasty.
By the way, there was a scene where they all look at the general's car, because that's a big deal, and I think that was supposed to be a metaphor for the West dying out.
Yeah, so we talked about at the beginning of the show. The end of the Old West, and I've read a couple Wikipedia things that this is the mark of the end of the Old West, but I didn't feel like that really played a part in the movie.
No, I feel like they said 2 lines about it in the whole movie.
It just is in the movie.
Right.
It's not relevant to our characters.
I mean, yeah, he says it's my last big heist because I'm dying.
I thought he said because I'm old. He said I'm not moving as well. I mean, that's how I always took it.
I thought he also said, and because the way of the bandit is coming to an end or something.
I guess.
Yeah. But, so Angel is, getting tortured. But then they're but yay, we got all this gold. So then there's a huge celebration scene that takes forever. Where they, go into a vat of wine. And then they're prostituting with these very young-looking girls. And is that where we find out?
I think you've jumped back because I think the wine celebrating scene is the first time they're in Agua Verde.
No, they're celebrating. I thought with the prostitutes.
Yeah, that happens, but I think that happens actually pretty early in the movie when they go to Agua Verde the first time and they talk to the general. And there's a party scene when they're first arranging that deal, but then they go back, and this is we're at the end of the movie right now.
Are you sure? Because I wrote it it happened after.
Oh, if you did the notes, then never mind.
Who knows?
I'm gonna trust your notes more than my memory.
Oh, and then because then I made a note. Maybe I'm complaining too. Maybe the party scene was before, but then the young prostitute scene was after.
Oh, I mean, there's both. There's weird prostitute scenes in both party scenes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the scene.
I'm thinking about the scene where they're shooting into the barrels, and then it's showering them with wine.
Yeah. Which was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, so this is why I'm so frustrated that our main character, we've had so much time, so much screen time, and so little character development. We've learned 2 things about him. One, that he's the reason that his partner went to jail.
Yeah.
Or, well, he just abandoned
Do you
him.
remember the dialogue in that scene? Because it was so just like, so spot on the nose. They're like, so it's with him and Deke back when they were partners and they're in a hotel room and they're celebrating with some prostitutes. And they're like, and Deke's like, do you think anything bad's gonna happen to us? And he's like, no, nothing could ever happen to us.
I've got it figured out. We'll never get caught.
Ever. There will never be someone at the door right now. And then there's a knock.
This ship can't sink.
It's called the Titanic. Right. Anyway, I liked it a lot.
Yeah. And then he just, so Deke gets caught. And anyway, and then the other thing we learned about it is he was in love with a girl that was married and he was sleeping with her and she got murdered.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem that sad about it. So,
No.
like, I feel like these are things that are supposed to shape his character for us. And they're just anecdotes that fall flat, I think.
He does like loyalty?
But does he?
No, I mean, that's in the movie. He says it.
Right, he says it.
But it does play into the end, though. When
Right.
he saves Angel.
So at the very end, they save Angel, who again totally murdered a girl for no good reason. So I just don't understand why he's worth dying for.
I mean, so I'm just clinging to he's the only person I even kind of like in the movie at all.
Oh, I was so grossed out by his behavior. Murdering a girl.
I mean, that's not good to do. Like, I'm not saying people should do that.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah. So Pike is like, I want Angel. And the general is like, oh, you can have Angel. Psych, you got your throat cut.
Psych slit.
And then they kill the general, and then they kill the weird German guy who, again, never played into the story. I don't know why he was there.
I did. I don't think that was a good scene, but I did just like that part where they're all just like looking around. They're like, oh, we killed the general. Everyone's got their guns pointing at us. We got their guns pointed at them. We don't know what to do. So he just looks up and he looks at the German guy just in the background. He's like, all right, I'll just shoot him. And it's like so like random almost.
It's so random.
That I kind of like. It was kind of silly.
And then everybody dies.
And there's about 3 hours fighting, machine gunning.
I assume, listener, you're listening to this like, they're getting mowed down with machine guns. That sounds kind of interesting and exciting. Yeah. Nah.
It
was so...
But it's because of the very aged camera techniques.
Yeah, which I think were cool at the time.
Bro,
but,
probably awesome.
So bored. So then the bounty hunters come in and they're like, oh, sweet, our job's done.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's dead. And then they start going through their clothes and being weird.
Why are they even in the movie?
Right. Nothing they did affected anything.
Oh, we won. The
right.
end.
And then Deke meets up with old guy from earlier. He's like, oh, I'm hanging out with some revolutionaries. Want to come? And he's like, cool. End of movie.
That's the end.
End of fucking...
So what grade would you give it?
Oh, Jesus. I hated this movie a lot. Can I say, I think I might hate Westerns.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a Western, actually.
Well, I've seen... Oh, Blazing Saddles is really good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know if
I like when they dance.
Right. I also like Wiki Wiki Wild Wild West.
Yeah, obviously, that's your favorite movie.
My favorite movie. I like Toy Story. That has a cowboy in it.
Man, Buzz, though. Buzz is a little bit cooler.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
What a cool toy.
If this was a space movie, it'd be way better. I think that's fair to say.
It is very fair to say. So I've watched a lot of the classic, like, Western movies because my friend David really likes them. That's my husband.
Yeah.
And he... okay, so I saw the first half hour of Once Upon a Time in the West, and it is literally just a guy sitting at a railroad waiting area with a fly buzzing around him.
See,
It is
this is bumping up my letter grade because it's not bad.
Right.
This
it was
movie is
so
better
boring.
than that.
But, you know, all those, like, the square offs and the classic whistling and like the
I
classic...
love the whistling.
Yeah, the classic thing about Westerns comes from spaghetti Westerns mostly and
Yeah.
not from American Western movies, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really weird tangent. My point is maybe Westerns just suck as a genre. And we'll find out. I think there's like 4 more on this list.
So, grade.
So grade F. I think F.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. I cannot... There's nothing redeemable about this movie to me.
So he murders one innocent woman, and he's our main character, and that's like so bad.
Yes.
That's F-worthy to you?
Yes!
One?
One innocent girl gets murdered.
All right, wow. Okay, jeez.
By the way, I do think that... So, sorry. So you were saying you liked that Angel kind of was... They were trying to rescue him. And that I think that was supposed to be Pike finally living up to his ideals of loyalty, right?
Or something, I'm not
But
sure.
it did not land to me at all.
No, it's not good.
Okay, because it fucking sucks and this movie's terrible and it's F.
See, I want to not give it an F, but like I don't have any reverse argument. I don't have any counterpoint to woman murdered. Like that sure
Buddy
is bad.
is kind of cute.
But he's got that charm. I don't know. It's Angel. It's cool.
Isn't it weird that even the Mexicans call him Angel and not Angel?
I thought one of them did call him Angel.
Okay.
I'll give it an F because a woman got murdered who was innocent.
You could give it a D-. Go with your gut.
No.
Nope.
No, it's an F.
And I definitely wouldn't put it on my personal AFI because I don't see it as influential in the way modern cinema is at all. Like, they maybe revolutionized these techniques that nobody uses anymore because they're terrible.
Right. Matrix did more to further
Right.
camera techniques.
People
it's fair
didn't
to
fall
say.
off buildings, though, because they could fly.
Exactly. Way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
That would have also been cool.
Yeah, that would have been.
Everything would have been better than this movie. I just hate it so much.
If the Cowboys, am I in the Matrix? If they had some of those scenes.
What's real? Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been good.
That would have been really good.
Okay, so I think that's it this week.
That was a great episode.
So really,
Who sponsored this really great episode?
you're so
I'm sorry, I'll
intense
calm
right
down.
now.
I'm sorry, I'll calm down.
I had an idea for a sponsor, and
Did Subway sponsor it? They didn't.
they didn't.
No, come up with another one. We're not making this up, but who did it?
Oh, let me just look at my many many sponsors.
Look at the receipts.
Yes. Oh, look at all this money coming. I just can't.
We give them receipts when they buy ad time from us.
They're sponsoring us. They're not buying ad time.
Whatever. It's the same idea.
Brought to you by.
Budweiser, the best beer you can drink. Man, are you gonna get drunk? You just one little sip, and they got a bottle. What? That's all you need. Man, you're gonna be so drunk. Damn. Oh, what a cool party, Dave. That's it.
Brought to you by Budweiser. All right.
Yeah.
Good time.
My favorite company. And I'm not just saying that because I'm getting paid, but I am getting paid a lot. And
Yeah, look at the
And I
receipt.
wouldn't like them otherwise. Look at the receipt.
You can't
Check.
because this is not a visual medium.
Shit, a lot of zeros. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say how much. Lot.
A lot.
A lot of zeros.
So that's it for this week's
What a great
Flahertys
episode.
on Films.
We'll see you next time for
Modern Times.
and
Cut!
cut.